I think we can all agree that the first season or two of the NPFL had its moments, its ups, its downs, its excitement, and here we are. I think 5+ seasons later in the NPFL, and they just announced their schedule and their roster, and there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about and changes and anglers joining and anglers leaving, and then it's definitely excited to dig into the 2026 season, the NPFL, and thought who better to bring in to talk about the NPFL than probably one of the loudest mouth faces of the league. But what's up, Luke Dunkin?
I represent all those things. I think
You resemble those remarks.
definitely resemble those remarks, and I don't know. Fat Cat might have a louder mouth than me at times, especially with his infectious laugh that he pulls off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited for 2026. I told you before we went live. Some of the names on the roster, some things have been a surprise to me. They've kept us in the dark on a little bit of it, and it's going to be a big year. This will be our 6th season, which is, as you mentioned there in the intro, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. It's been a roller coaster since the beginning. I've been with the guys since the fall of 2020, sitting right here, as a matter of fact, and what I refer to as the low budget live bar and grill. We kind of roadmap this thing. Brad Fuller and Paul Benson came to my house and they showed me this master plan, wanted to know, would I be a part of it? I'm like, let's go. And man, it has been a ride. And man, I have to start this by saying how proud I am to see full field with some anglers maybe being added beyond that 130 mark, kind of kicking that around a little bit from what they said in their press release this week. And it's a pretty cool position to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome to HellaBass Live on a Tuesday special. We kind of got a Thanksgiving crunch week, kids sports, birthdays, things. So we're going Tuesday. Hopefully we're not stepping on anybody's toes live tonight. So we're presented as always by Arsenal Fishing and boosted by Powerhouse Lithium, and excited to kind of talk shop, talk fishing, talk about the league and all things. I think one of the things, I think kind of alluded to, like, I think everybody, rewind 6 years ago when they first announced the NPFL, right? There's been a lot of leagues and a lot of tournaments that have been announced. And I think even if you go back and listen to like 6 months when the announcement came out before you sat down with the team, right? I think there was some podcasts you're like, I think you were skeptical. I think that's a fair way to say it. Like, absolutely. Like, just like many people, like, there's a lot of things that come up, right? I don't remember the names of some of them, but like we've had a bunch of big promises from leagues that have, and team series and all kinds of things that end up being one and dones or none and dones. And the MPFL seems like they have found their place and they're kind of growing, and it's exciting to see that.
Yeah, man, I will say I was a skeptic, and Brad Fuller, who is now not only my boss, he's a dear friend, and we laugh about those days because I did say that he was a fan of the podcast. He listened to the podcast every week back in those days, and I think they announced like in 2019, I believe, and that's when I made a comment. I was like, "Oh, those guys have a tournament trail, so do I." That was kind of my joke, like, because it was just a press release. There was no hey, this is who's fishing this is where we're fishing. It was a very basic press release. Gave the names of the folks involved from a leadership ownership standpoint, but other than that, they didn't have anything, right? And I guess it was kind of summer 2020. They reached out to me. I ended up doing a podcast with them, and I did a live, actually an actual live, which is rare for me these days. And man, the response in the chat was amazing. And I'm like, okay, maybe people are interested in having another trail, and from there I started having conversations with them, and then it led to, like, I believe it was either August or September when they were here and kind of roadmap everything. And the roadmap has certainly changed from that conversation a few times, but the core values are definitely still there. And I would say that there's a 0% chance any of this could happen without the people involved that they have, excluding myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. This couple comments came in here. So there's some crossover. Trevor's a low lifer, identifies as a low lifer as well. So this is an it's not a low budget live, but we're actually live, which is normal for us. But um, yeah, 130. So I mean, what was the field last year?
I believe we had one. It was like 117, I believe.
Right.
118,
And the year
117
before that
around.
was like 80 something.
Yeah. Let's see. We had a really. Was that the year? We had a year that was like right at 80. Yeah,
Yeah.
78 or 80, which was, I will say, was probably the most fun year we've had. Just smaller field, a lot more fun to cover, super competitive. But you know, as we've added some of the more household names and things, it gets a little crazier all the time. But yeah, that year was something. But man, that was the first year they did $100,000 for first place. So you had call it 1 in 80 shot at winning $100,000 every week. That was a fun season.
Yeah. Nobody wants to listen to Crappie Talk Live. Suck it, Panger.
Listen, nobody's going to listen to. Panger called me the other day. I have to tell this on myself. I thought the Crappie Talk Live thing, he was just like joking and making memes. Like I thought he was messing around on Instagram. I did not realize it was a real thing. And he was like, "Well, now that I'm doing this Crappie Talk Live thing," I went, "Oh, that's real?" He's like, "You didn't know it was real?" I said, "Buddy, I thought you were joking. I did not know you were going full force Crappie Talk Live, but sorry, buddy. We're still in your viewers."
Yeah, that's all right. That's the beauty. You can watch some live. You can watch some
Absolutely.
re-recorded. So yeah, 130. I guess that is the big news. We can talk about the schedule and a few other things, but let's. I think the most exciting, the most timely thing to talk about is the roster that they announced. And one of the things they said was uh, room for more. So I guess if anybody is chomping at the bit to get a piece of some anglers, they can still fill out an application, I guess.
Yeah, I think they're going to leave it open for a little bit longer. And there's some stuff going on there. I think with a couple anglers on the health wise, I think there
Hmm.
may be a couple guys that think they might not be able to fish the entire season over some things going on from what I've heard behind the scenes. So they've talked about that amongst the anglers and the ownership there, and I think that's where they're going to potentially take on a couple more guys.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we can maybe just throw up the list here. Might be a little bit of an eye chart on depending on the device you're watching on, but so yeah, 130. You got returning kind of NPFL veterans. You've got returning, anglers that have fished multiple tours. We've got new. Um, I mean, I think some of the numbers. I think there's like 40 plus some anglers out of the 130. So basically, a third of the field, 35%, are anglers that have either fished FLW top level, BPT, Elite Series. Right. I think it's like right around mid 40s when you look at the KJ Queens, the Porosniks, the James Niggemeyer, the Patrick Walters, the Zach Burgess. The list goes on. There's like 40 plus of those names. I think there's what 5, 6, 7 like major championships between FLW Cup,
Yeah.
Red Crest Classic, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we got some AOIs in there. We've got some
yep.
classic champs, cup champs. It's it's pretty wild list to say the very least. And for me, being an FLW nerd, uh, like I was, there's some names that have shown back up that used to be FLW guys that like a
Mhm.
Bill Day from Kentucky. Bill fished MLF when it was just the TV show. Bill was on the selects there. I believe he won one of those at one point, but Bill fished FLW for years. He's on the list this year. Sean Murphy, Ryan Chandler. There's some guys, Alex Davis coming back, coming to the NPFL. And he's, his entire career has basically been with FLW and then MLF on the pro circuit side of things. And look forward to, he's a good buddy of mine. Look forward to hanging with those guys over there this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's like 12 anglers that are new, kind of like true what they consider rookies, right? Kind of
Mm-hmm.
younger anglers. Um, I haven't dug into that list to look at what those names are and who they are. I don't know. Do you know any of those names that we should be watching out for? Because like, NPFL does it do a rookie of the year?
Just honestly, only on the live stream. Ken Duke, Ken Duke loves to tally all of that up, and we did a little bit
Right.
of that this year, but no award for it or anything at all.
Well,
Because
unless some company wants to step up, I'm sure we could create an
that's right.
award if right. Like,
Yeah. I'm sure that they would gladly do one if a sponsor stepped up. No, we don't have an official rookie of the year, and it's kind of it's strange. It's almost like in the past when you have an FLW tour guy go to the Elite Series and they would win rookie of the year. We have so many true rookies, I guess, the last couple of years to the NPFL, but veteran tournament guys. And last year, Ken just kind of had a separate run of stats on a few guys that have really not ever fished anything at that level. I will be honest with you, Rich. I've not done a deep dive yet on the list as far as the new guys. There are a couple I know. There are a couple guys that have fished Alabama Bass Trail that I know of that have joined. But as far as somebody to watch out for, man, I haven't done that dive just yet.
you haven't done like pivot tables, and I mean, you haven't got like a full dive from Ken Duke. He hasn't sent you like a.
I am shocked that I haven't received that from Ken yet. To be fair, Ken normally he lives in my inbox, okay, and he is way more organized than I will ever be in life. Thank God for Ken Duke and his stats.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I guess maybe start with. I think we kind of talked a little bit before the show, and you said you kind of heard some things, rumbling, some names that you were kind of expecting, but there was also some that you read yesterday that were news to you as well. What are some of those names that I don't know if you were most surprised about or most excited about off the top of your head?
Well, for me, it was surprised and excited all at the same time about one name in particular, and that's Rick Clunn. That one,
Mhm.
I'm a bass fishing just junkie since I was a kid, man. And I mean, my goodness, if you've kept up with this sport for 30 plus years like I have, Rick Clunn, always going to be one of my guys, always going to be just a legend. He was one of my dad's fishing heroes, and you weren't anything if you weren't Rick Clunn to my dad. And so when I saw that, you know, we had the big pomp and circumstance with him retiring, right? Like there was this big
Yep.
send off, and to see him there was surprising to me for a number of reasons. And this fall, I talk bass fishing a ton. Obviously, working for Alabama Bass Trail, working for NPFL, and this fall I've been hunting a lot. I did add the Logan Parks Insane High School College tournament there a couple weeks ago, and I did that with the NPFL's production crew. But we've not talked a lot of shop
Mhm.
as an NPFL team, to be honest. So I did not know the Clunn thing was happening. I had seen some angler list, as we were growing. We had shared that internally a couple times. I was excited about a lot of anglers, but the Clunn one really stopped me in my tracks yesterday. And Fat Cat, I immediately said, bro, Rick freaking Clunn. And both of us, we went back and forth about that for a while, man. It's just really cool. It was almost, we added David Fritz, a couple years ago. Fritz fished with us for 2 seasons. That was wild to me as the 12-year-old kid that was a fan of the old FLW tour growing up and the Fritz Blitz, right during that mid 90s time frame. Having David around was super cool. So Rick being there, it's going to be special, man.
Yeah, right on. But yeah, Jim Lopez is calling a crankbait win for Clunn right now. So he's
I'm here for that. I
I
am
think
here for that.
I mean they were pretty careful the way they worded it when you're right. The Rick Clunn's final season on the elites, they said I'm stepping down from the elites, right? I don't think he used the word retire, right? And he fished
Right.
some opens last year. And I think, a non-tech league with a 6 event schedule that's spaced out probably fits his, where he's at in his career and as an angler. So, I could see, yeah, I could see him cutting some checks and making some noise and getting on live a couple times for sure.
We had Biffle on live this year when we were out there at Eufaula, Oklahoma, when it was all flooded and 9 feet high and red mud, and we got to watch Tommy Biffle flip bushes, man. Like I'm hoping for that kind of Clunn experience. I want a Clunn
Right.
cranking a square bill, throwing a spinner bait around, just textbook Rick Clunn tournament next season.
So where do you think the best fit for Rick Clunn on the schedule is then? Where would you like if you had to circle one for the Clun watch? What would it be?
Wright Patman in Texas, I think would
Mhm.
be one that you could see. Rick, we've been there a couple times with the league, and super cool fishery. It's small. It does fish a little small, but man, it just a shallow water. I don't see it getting one any other way other than on the bank. That time of year when we're going there, we're going in April again. We've been there a couple times that same time of year, so I could see there. But his last big win was in Florida, so we kicked things off at the Harris Chain. He's probably forgotten more about the Harris Chain than most of us will ever know. He's been there a few times, so maybe you see him there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I guess a couple things to jump out. Like we got Worldwide Watson and Onum, right? So we got a couple of, do we call them larger than life personalities
Yeah,
joining.
pray
Um,
for me. Yeah, I've got Watson, Matt Robertson, and Fat Cat to deal with all in the all in the same year, and Swindle. You got those three. It's
yeah,
spells a disaster in the making. To be fair,
right. And I guess I know one thing, like Onum, obviously, Rabbit Robertson live streamed, and he had pretty good viewership on his YouTube channel.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe you don't know this, but are anglers going to be allowed to live stream their own platforms on the NPFL?
I do not know that. I would
Okay.
assume yes, unless they are. I would think if they have a live camera, maybe that I don't
Right.
know how that would
Yeah, I
line
would I
out.
would
But
assume, yeah, and
I would
that's the way Bass used to operate, is like you can do it as long as there's not a live camera in your boat.
I would
So
say that we are definitely for that.
yeah.
If Brad Fuller was sitting here, I would say he'd be like, absolutely, they can do that.
Now if you sign
I thought
a
that was silly.
major TV deal over the winter, then that could probably change. But
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
guessing
see
that
that. Maybe,
I think
fingers
that
crossed.
from the Bassmaster side was pushed on them by FS1, I'm guessing, or Fox. But I
Yeah, I would think
agree, it
so.
seems kind of silly. But yeah, what's up, Rusty? So yeah, I think those would be fun to watch. I think one name for me, like Wesley Gore, right? He's a guy that is, I think, very dangerous, underrated, and I think people label him as a scoper. But I think we'll find out that he is. Not say we. More people will find out that he's
Yes.
much more than a scoper. I guess is what I would say.
I was going to say those two Coosa River events that we have there. I know Wesley very well, and he's going to be a nightmare in both of those events. And if he doesn't win Lay Lake, I will be, and everyone else in the state of Alabama that's ever competed against him will probably be very shocked if he is not right there in that one. He actually prefers no scope. As crazy as that sounds, as dangerous as he is with scope, Wesley is he's a dog, as my kids would say. He's going to be a problem. I think he'll have a fantastic year. He hit me up about it before this season. It's just like, man, I would like a break from it. Just 6 events where I don't have to worry about scope at all. I can go back to my roots, how I was raised fishing, and he ended up just with the schedule. Like, I don't know if I want to do it. And then when he the 2 Coosa River tournaments came out, we were over at the championship in South Carolina, and I bet he called me 10 times one day. Uh, Man, how do I get in? Just call. I'm sitting with Patrick Walter. He's calling Patrick. Then he's calling Drew Cook because none of us would answer. We were all together at this NPFL function, and he's calling Brad Fuller. We're like, Wesley, signups haven't began yet. So he's chomping at the bit, man.
Right on. It looks like 78,000, as Luke would say, watching
Yeah,
tonight. Um,
absolutely. Get those numbers up.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely gonna miss some names, and not trying to but just kind of going through the list here, like new names jumping out. I guess Scott Canterbury's probably not disappointed to have 2 more Coosa River events. So,
No,
uh,
he'll be a
you know,
problem in both of those as well.
I mean, Cliff Crochet, right? He's coming over.
Yeah,
I think he was a guest on your show. He kind of announced that,
yeah.
so we kind of know, and he was somebody that kind of announced it ahead of time. James Niggemeyer, I actually talked to him right after the Bass Nation event. He was, kind of thinking about it, but it didn't sound like he really was going to do it. I don't know if I'm probably going to reach out to him, see if he wants to be a guest, because he was kind of like, doesn't sound like he was getting, like, his sponsors were like, hey, if you want to do it, great, but not necessarily gonna like throw additional support to Fisher there
Yeah.
for tour, but maybe he figured something out. So it's good to see James there.
Yeah.
Brock
James is a good
Mosley,
person.
right?
Yeah, Brock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not know James was another surprise to me on the list when I saw that. I did not know James. I knew Brock. Brock had reached out to me. I put him in touch with those guys about a month or two ago. He reached out. Cliff Crochet was the same way. Fred Rumbanis, another one that I'm excited about. Love me some Fred. Going
Yeah.
to
I
be
mean,
a
Brock Mosley will
fun year with
probably
those guys.
never not just have like 3 chatterbaits on his deck for the rest of the year for the NPFL. So
Very true.
Andy Morgan, I know you're excited about.
Yeah, man.
He was pretty direct in his walking through the Deerwood social post about how his disdain for the BPT and how he was kind of looking for a fresh start. So that's exciting to kind of see a refocused Andy Morgan. Should be fun to watch.
It's scary if you're on that angler roster, I think, and I've said that a couple times on the show, but man, I mean it. Just that guy, I think he kind of got swept up in that format with BPT, and people have forgotten what that guy's about. And he is dangerous. He is as consistent as any angler's ever been. He's not a dude that's going to go out and catch 50. That's why that format did not suit him at all. But he's a guy. He's going to get 7 or 8 bites. And I feel like he wakes up with 18 pounds in his live well, no matter where you're at. Like he's just that dude over the years. I used to joke with him on the tour. I'm like, dude, do you just always catch 18 plus everywhere we go? I mean, he's something. And I think the schedule really sets up. He's fished the Coosa a ton, obviously been to Harris Chain a ton. We'll see on the northern swing, but he's one of my picks right now for AOI before the thing starts. He's just, that guy is super consistent. And like you said, rejuvenated. We saw that with Russ Lane this year, right? He got that fire lit again. So I think Andy could be dangerous next year.
Yeah, and pretty sure Andy Morgan was not cut. He chose
Yeah,
to
he
leave,
chose.
right?
Yeah, he
So he
chose.
was fed up with wasn't working for him, wasn't happy, gonna pay a similar entry fee, move over. So yeah, it wasn't like he was not having any success. He just wasn't really happy there. So that's kind of interesting. Um, yeah, then Russ Lane, right? So Russ, Big
Yeah,
Daddy, goes out and has
yeah.
quite the season on the opens. Like Russ Lane, super talented angler, obviously has done it at all levels. And I mean, if you rewind, this is not a shot against Russ. I think this is like his second or third year in the opens, but like not the guy would have circled at the beginning of the year in the open saying he's going to run through the opens and the EQs,
No,
in which he basically did. He had a great season. So he's kind of, I don't know if he's found his groove or reinvented himself, but
I think it's I think
kind
it's
of
a
a
little bit of I think it's a little bit of both with him. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like I had him on the show, and Russ is one of those guys I go way back with, and he fished the Alabama Bass Trail 100s with us this year, and just a different Russ this year for sure. And I
Mhm.
know he's put a ton of time into the scope game, which man he's been sponsored by Garmin for years, and he had it before any of these young guys. And I think his philosophy is, what's my excuse? Like I had to get better with it, and he did. And man, he's put the work in, and he is.
Yeah.
But to be fair, what you said, not a guy would have circled at the first of the year with that roster in the opens, and he ends up finishing second to Fisher and I in the EQ AOI race.
Yeah. Jonathan Kelly. So I think he failed to make requalification on the elites, joining the
Mhm.
NPFL. Younger guy, Hanselmania.
Yeah,
See,
that
he's a guy that like I feel like right. I guess he also didn't requalify, but like, is this? I mean, I look at Ray as a guy that was surprised didn't make more ripples in the Elite Series. I mean, he's had some nice tournaments, but like I thought those first couple of years he was gonna make a lot more noise, and maybe this new kind of restart, maybe we see like a Russ Lane type year out of Ray Hanselman. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
no, not in the least. And that guy has always been just a nightmare, You know what I mean? Especially in the Texas stuff. We saw the year, what was it, 3 Toyota Series. I mean, he's obviously very talented, but I'm with you. Did not make the splash on the elites that I ever really thought he would. And I think that anybody that ever fished against him thought he would. So really, I don't know Ray that well. There's a lot of these guys coming over that I don't know that I'm really looking forward to covering, getting to know a little better. Ray's certainly one of those guys, and you got a Texas lake on there. It's not one of those deep Texas lakes. It's right on the Arkansas Texas line there in Texarkana, right, Patman? But you do have a Texas zip code on the schedule, so you'll probably be very dangerous there, I would say.
Yeah. Boom Boom, you talked about him. I think he came on your show. Kind of similar story to Morgan. You know, never. I think he said he never cashed a regular season check.
Yeah,
didn't really enjoy life over there. He seems really excited, so that's going to be exciting to watch him. Andrew Upshaw, right? I mean,
yeah, his year.
I feel like Andrew Upshaw, one of those guys that early on was pretty critical of the NPFL on his like opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got like receipts written down, but that's just kind of the tone I remember early on, you know, with him and Todd talking about the NPFL and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, Andrew's a good fisherman. You know, he's got a decent following to bring to the league, which only helps, right? With his YouTube, which would be good.
Andrew was there this season. He was there in 25.
That's what he was. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
He showed up.
He was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
He had a good one we had him on live at the St. Lawrence River. He had a good one up there. But he was critical, and I remind him of that all the time. But so was I. So,
yeah, I mean, as long as you can admit it, right? Like you're allowed to change your mind on things.
$1,000,000%.
Just because you didn't like Brussels sprouts when you were 12 and you like roasted Brussels sprouts when you get old, you know, I mean, like you can adapt, you can change. So yeah, I mean, hey, don't want to short anybody. There's tons of cool names returning, coming back, more. Could be more. One name that I think that's not there, right, is Kyle Welcher.
Yeah, I'm seeing that a lot in the comments, man. And I talked to Kyle a little bit towards the end of the season. I got the vibe that he might not come back. It was a lot. You know, his little boy is very young.
Yeah.
They live life on the road. And what I need people to understand, just from we got to be on site this year instead of in the studio in Wisconsin for the first time in a few years. And so you're there and you're in the mix, you know, you're at the weigh-ins every day, you're at takeoff. And man, the guys that pulled double duty this year and their families that fished the elites and the NPFL, I cannot describe to you what a daunting task that was, you know, and the amount of time they spent on the road. I think Jason Christie told me at one point he had been gone like 9 straight weeks, man, because of the way the schedule worked out. You know, that's not 9 straight weeks of tournaments, but it was like, well, instead of driving all the way back to Oklahoma, I've got a couple events coming up. So I'm going to stay out this way, you know, stay out east instead of going back. And his wife would kind of fly in and out of events. And, you know, a guy like Justin Atkins is not returning this year.
Jason Christie.
Jason Christie. And Justin is someone that I talked to a good bit, and it was strictly it was a family decision. He's like, man, he has a camper, you know, he pulls the camper, wife pulls the boat. They've got 3 children now. They just had their third about a month or so ago. So he's like, man, it was a lot more than he ever realized it would be. And I would, you know, love to see him there, but it's like I've told people online, I get it too, man. They've got lives outside of fishing. They got other things they want to do. And, you know, and I think for Welcher too, just focusing on the Elite Series was important to him. I really think that was a big key to his decision there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know Kyle. It's not like I texted him or anything, but I just assumed it was young kid at home, and who knows, there could be another one on the way that we don't know. I mean,
true.
I mean, like he's in that stage of his life where that clearly is a potential possibility. So, yeah. And then obviously you gotta, if you gotta pick one, you gotta stay the one that has a, strict qualification and like that kind of, I
Absolutely.
mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? But
Yeah.
and it's not like, I mean, I don't remember where he finished in AOI, but he won an event in the Elite Series, and did he end up first or second in AOI this year on NPFL?
Second by 1 point.
Yeah. One at the year before, second this year. So
Yep.
yeah, he's not leaving because he wasn't having a good time and making money.
That's for sure. And I think when you win AOI, you get your entry fees paid for the following
Sure.
season. That's the reward there. So, if he wins AOI, he probably comes out and is stressed out about adding 6 more events to his schedule again next year because you're playing with house money at that point. That probably impacts that decision a little bit too. That's another thing. It's over 30 grand to fish. That's not just a couple bucks there. Brian
I don't know if
Hatfield.
Brian's saying because of the anglers in the field, or because that's really the
Yeah.
only thing that's changed, right? Like the entry fees haven't really changed, the
Yeah.
cost of
Entry
entry
fees.
fees.
Yeah, Brian actually fished with us. He's going to fish the pro circuit. I believe, Brian, I saw your name on that list, and that's not really a working men's league either. I would say Banks Shaw is a college senior taking everybody's money over there, but also in the BPT. So that's Big Daddy Brian Hatfield right there. Big Daddy's baits make some killer spinner
The
baits.
working men's league is called the Bass Fishing League,
That's
the
true.
BFLs.
That's true. And I went to Brian's point, like, it was marketed as that in the beginning. And what we just talked about, Rich, you said about Brussels sprouts, didn't like them when you were 12. You can change your mind. You can like them now. And for a business to sustain, and listen, I've been critical of all the leagues. I've been critical of the ones I work for publicly and about different things at different times. With all businesses, you have to stick and move, right?
Mhm.
And you would be a fool if you run a trail that has the word professional in it and Gerald Swindle calls, "Hey man, I'd like to fish that." Nope, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to fish that with the number of eyeballs, right? And the history there. You'd be a fool to turn down these incredible anglers that want to come fish, want to join in, especially when you've never had a full field. So I think I hate that guys are frustrated. Brian was with us since the beginning, great guy. And there were a few that were frustrated over that. And I understand it. But at the same time, man, if you want it to be there to be able to compete, I think it was a necessary move that the league made. And again, it had the name professional in it from the beginning.
I think you even see that at like the Classic Bass Champions Tour in Minnesota. It's a kind of a popular growing regional league, and they
Very
moved
cool.
to a qualification system this year, right? And so now there are people that are and I actually I fished it early, I came back, I requalified for next year, but I was kind of critical of Dane, who I fished another team tournament with, and I call him a friend, but like this year there was no like, it was like this year points didn't matter if you fished 1 year before, 0 years before, or 6 years before. If the guy that won 4 skeeter boats in 6 years didn't make the cut this year, he was going to be gone. So like, yeah, I mean, so like leagues make decisions and move on and grow and morph and develop, and that's just kind of part of the evolution.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's again, it's unfortunate that people were upset by that, I get it. Look, the same thing goes on, it, and I know it. If you got a local Tuesday night tournament and a guy shows up, right, that fishes professionally, he hasn't been on that lake all year, and he shows up and people get upset. And I just, for me, if we're paying out the kind of money, $100,000 first place, and you got the live coverage and you got all the stuff, don't be surprised when people show up trying to win that money. That's just kind of how it goes. Matt Kelly, see, and thank you, Matt. I appreciate you being a fan of what the league's doing, but Rich, I've said this on my show multiple times. So if you are a lowlifer watching right now, I apologize. You've heard me say this like a broken record. I, am very blessed to have had an audience, right, through the podcast and things. And we have got some solid anglers that have fished with us every year, the NPFL. We've seen anglers go on to do great things that started with a Keith Carson, right? Look at Keith. I mean, not saying NPFL made Keith Carson, but I'm saying Keith Carson, incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. Bryant Smith on the Elite Series, David Gaston on the Elite Series. We saw John Sokup come in, make the elites, and move on down the road. But we've kind of, I think about Hunter Bogman is a guy that has kind of, carved out his niche in the pro fishing world by being in the NPFL, man. And he's such an awesome story. It's such an awesome angler. But with that being said, people like things they're familiar with. Okay. I use this analogy a lot. I've played music for a lot of years, written music, but played music in bars and, all over the place. And you can walk up to a microphone with your guitar and you can say, "Hey man, here's a song I wrote." And it's on a Saturday night, packed place. Crickets. Nobody cares. Hey, here's Sweet Home Alabama. Oh my gosh. They lose their mind. They've heard it 3,000 times. And it drives you crazy as an artist. You're like, well, I want you to like Biloxi Blues. And it's the same, man. I thought, man, we've got such great storylines and we've got such great anglers. They catch them. It's a familiarity that you have to have. And man, I think two things happened this year. I think the forward-facing sonar ban, because our sport is very divided over it as a fan base. Anglers are divided over it. I think the industry is divided over it as far as, lure companies and the tech companies, whatever. I mean, everybody's got an opinion on it, right? And I think banning that, giving people the option of, we're going to have a tournament where you don't have to use it. We're going to have a tournament where you don't have to watch it. It's not even going to be in play at all. I think that helped viewership. And then I do think having some household names, and again, that is no disrespect to someone like a Brian Hatfield. Brian knows I'm a fan of Big Daddy Brian Hatfield. He's, even though I think he's a daggum Ohio State fan, even though he lives in Tennessee. We can still be friends. But no, man, and I wish those guys the best moving on that aren't fishing with us. But it was a shot in the arm. And I think when it comes to the sponsorship pie in the industry, it's very small, right? There's only so much to go around. And I think if you're trying to get that, the only way to do it's with numbers, period. And so if the NPFL is going to survive long term, they got to have sponsors, they got to have viewers, and I think that they're headed in that right direction now.
So I think there's a third important leg to this stool recipe on kind of the growth for the NPFL. And I'm going to tell you what it is in 1 minute when we come back.
Are you ready to reel in your next home purchase or refinance? Supreme Lending Team can help guide you through the entire mortgage process, from pre-qualification to closing. We have a wide variety of home loan programs in our tackle box, including down payment assistance and first-time homebuyer options. You can ask HellaBass. He trusted us to help finance his home. Contact the Dream Team today by searching Supreme Lending Dream Team, or click the link below in the description, or scan the QR code on your screen.
All right. Shout out to the Dream Team supporting HellaBass Live. And if you guys are in the market, need to refi, build a bigger garage, bigger house for all your tools and your toys and all that stuff. And yeah, he's a fisherman, supports the industry, and you can give him a shout. Yeah. So here's, I think you nailed, the no technology or the anti front facing live, along with the anglers joining. But I think the other big decision that the NPFL made, which I was actually critical of on social media, that they needed to do, was getting on YouTube.
I totally agree.
And pushing their stuff out and being available, being more accessible to fans, easier, less barriers, less buttons, less things. And I think that those three things together really made a big difference.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They made a big production switch this year. They invested in their own production company. We certainly had our hiccups at times, but we got Mike Alton working for us, producing now, who's former, Bassmaster, was pre-Elite Series, the top 100.
Classic pattern guy?
Yeah, classic patterns. Mikey Alton. Shout out to Mike. Great dude, very talented individual. But But the move to YouTube was huge. You know, we had it was pretty convoluted at times how we tried to get the live stream to people. I saw the comments a lot of times from folks like yourself, Rich, on the how difficult it was to watch, and we just need to be on YouTube. You just need to be able to click one thing, and there's bass fishing. You know, who would have thought that that could have brought more attention? And man, bass fishing is such a community too. Like, look what you do with live and what I've done on podcasts. People like to get in the chat. They like to talk and cut up. And I have seen that, you know, when I've got to take a break and go in the control room and they've got all the, you know, the feed up on YouTube. It's awesome how many folks get in there and chat it up during a 5-hour broadcast.
Yeah. And I think just literally every smartphone comes with the YouTube app on it. I just don't think you can overlook that. And they've got the notifications figured out. And there's not hardly a smart TV that doesn't have the YouTube button on the remote. Your Roku has the button on the remote. I mean, it makes it so easy. And the other thing that can't be overlooked is that YouTube has a growth algorithm reach component to it, like nobody else does. So that if people watch it and watch similar things, it's going to give you your shot to get in front of them. And if you have a good product that people like, it'll keep showing it to more people. It's just all there is to it. There's other platforms don't have that.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I love the availability. Like you said, the fact that my wife thinks it's pretty cool that you can just watch it on the Roku on the TV, man. Just put it up there and have it in the background. She probably mutes it so she doesn't have to hear me, I imagine, but she does think that's a it's easy.
I think that's what most people do, to be honest. But
I do not blame anyone for doing that. Just don't tell my bosses that you mute it. Say, man, if we didn't have those commentators, we would not watch. I got kids to feed over here, Rich.
Yeah. Actually, MJ commented earlier, said that he thinks that you and Fat Cat do a good job of balancing and letting the anglers breathe and talk and sometimes just let the fishing happen versus having to talk all the time. So
thank you for that, man. That is something that I'll be honest, we have always strived to do. It's not about us. We try to add what we can add at times. We certainly try not to get in trouble because he and I Fat Cat and I like to have a good time. Sometimes we'll go down rabbit holes and we can be goofballs, that's for sure. But no, it's about the anglers. The anglers are the only reason we get to do what we get to do. And we try to lay back. And I tell people all the time, there's the number one thing I see, and I'm fortunate to do a lot of live coverage, but if you ever add somebody in a seat next to you that doesn't do live coverage, they think if there's dead space, just dead air, they got to say something. Say something. There's a beauty in hearing the birds. There's a beauty in hearing a buzzbait, hearing water slap off the hull of the boat. Those are the sounds we all know and love as fishermen. Why do you think they mic up everything they do at the Masters, right? Augusta National, you can hear, they spend no telling how much money with these with you can hear bees buzzing, they pipe in a lot of sounds as well. But man, that's what you think of when you're out there on the water. So I think there's a beauty in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jim. I mean, Gary Atkins has been there for a few years, I'm pretty sure.
Well, he left this year and went to the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, but he qualified for our championship. Returning. Yeah, he's returning. So Gary, former AOI, over there with us, and it's going to be good to have Gary back. He's a fish catcher. I know he's excited about those two northern tournaments.
Did he win the AOI that year, or was he just? I mean, I don't remember.
No, he won. He won AOI.
He won it. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he won in 2022. I believe was our second year. He won AOI.
Yeah, Gary's been around. I actually drew Gary in 2014 in a Bass Nation Northern Regional on Lake Monroe in Indiana. And that's when the nation still had very much the team format, right? Where Minnesota sends their 10 or 12 guys. And it was the boater, like draw, right? Even whether you went as a boater or as a non-boater, you got your 4 hours to run the trolling motor. And there was a team component. right? Whereas like the total team weights for Minnesota versus Wisconsin versus Illinois, right? And there was a pretty healthy rivalry between Minnesota and Wisconsin at the
I
team
bet.
level. Like who's going to win the boat? Who's going to win the big check to split up? And he literally had a stopwatch for his 4 hours to the like.
Can imagine.
I mean, she was like, "Hey, bud, you got 13 minutes left before it's back." Like he's like,
Guarantee he's a
he
very
was very
intense dude.
precise, and
Yeah.
we, I mean, we got along, but there was both of us wanted to do well, and we both, yeah, it wasn't as cordial as some anglers and laid back. It was definitely a little more like intense.
Oh
And
yeah.
no, yeah, but it was funny. We ended up tying that day. Like we both had.
No.
Neither one of us had a great day. We both stayed in contention. That was actually the first year I made my first national championship. But on a tough lake, it was yeah, and you knew he was like there. He meant business for himself and for his team, and yeah. So he's a veteran angler. He's very good. He won, I think, the Northern Regional 1 or 2 years later on Vermilion. So yeah, good angler.
Yeah, he's an intense dude though. You are he's all business all the time. Like
Yeah,
Gary
he's
is super intense.
got old school for sure.
Big time.
Brian's working on changing his username. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so it's interesting to see guys like that I used to fish against. It's like watching them fish in other leagues, and it's cool whether it's the NPFL or you see guys end up on the the pro circuit or the elites or the opens, right? Like fished against Seth and Josh Douglas and guys like that over the years. So so very cool.
Lot of good anglers come from your part of the world. That is for sure, man.
Yeah, interesting for as little short time we get to fish. Sometimes but the good thing is we get a lot of bites, right? You fished up in Wisconsin when they had the
Oh yeah.
production up there. Like
Yeah.
it's a good place to build confidence and learn techniques because you're going to get a lot of response.
No doubt. I've been to Minnesota one time with my buddy Kyle Wood. Shout out to old
Mhm,
Crush City Kyle Wood now. He used to be Kyle Lumber over there at FLW, but
mhm.
back in the day, he took me up to some of those small little gyms one time in the fall. And man, you do get to swing a lot. It's a good time.
They're angry sometimes. So I guess is there any other changes, wrinkles, things to watch out for in 2026 for the league
No,
that you
I mean
know of? That you
it's
can,
no, not anything. It's going to be business as usual as far as year two with the no forward facing. Obviously, they had not announced the first event when they put the schedule
Mhm.
out. They just said TBD. It's going to be in Florida. Finally got that out now, so that's going to be on the Harris chain. The only thing we're waiting on is the championship announcement, where it's going to be, when it's going to be, which would be the top 40 that qualify from this season. So we will have that, which is kind of confusing, right? That's why you had guys in this year's championship that didn't fish the NPFL this year that were kind of coming back, and it'll be the same next year. You'll have Kyle Welcher in the mix, but he won't be you'll have Jason Christie in the mix at the NPFL championship, but they're not on the roster for 2026. So that's really the only thing we've got, left to turn loose so far. Live coverage, as far as I know, will still be the same the final 2 days. We like to let the standings get established. We did broadcast on day one the first year, and man, those were just the worst days. No offense to anybody we put a camera, but you just, when you draw out of a hat, essentially you're like, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Sometimes you nail it, sometimes you don't. It can make for a very long first day, and I think folks, they crave that first day. I see that a ton in the comments. I just I think we'll probably stick to that 2-day live coverage on the final 2 days. That's what I would prefer, to be honest. I just,
Yeah,
man, you just go off those standings. You go with the guys that have got it dialed in.
yeah. I mean, obviously it's expensive. Helps, um, keep the cost down, right? I mean,
For sure.
it's a balance. I mean, you definitely got a lot of big personalities and people names now. You could probably make some stuff up, and I mean, if you
Oh
got
yeah.
Swindle and Robertson and Worldwide, all I mean, you don't doesn't really matter if you're catching fish; they're not going to shut up. So,
Yeah, we don't need that
but,
to happen.
yeah,
The
but
FCC
that also, I
doesn't
mean, look, it makes
monitor
it
bass
easier
fishing.
for balancing all the things you do. One less day of travel and production and live,
Well,
and so I mean, it's
I'm there for the first day regardless. So if we go live, I would be in the seat. But yeah, for me, it was just honestly, it was a struggle. We only did it the first year, and it is certainly a struggle at times. But I mean, sometimes it can be a struggle when you just go off the top 5 in the standings. The wheels can fall off for those 5 every now and then. It'd be nice to have 30 cameras out there, so you're just constantly getting to see somebody that's absolutely catching them.
yeah, absolutely. But and I think in the end, sometimes there's too much live. Sometimes I think. I mean,
That's
I
exactly what I was fixing to say.
uh, you know, uh, there's a reason, and you can still put together a highlight package, and if some of those anglers are going to go live or they're going to have recap videos, there's more reason to go back and watch some of that stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't think
I,
everything needs to be live all the time. Even as somebody that goes live a lot, I don't think everything needs to be on live all the time.
well, I think
Um,
bass, and I've talked to Zona about this a good bit. When it first started, it was a couple hours here, and then they would take a break, and they'd come back and maybe do 2 hours in the afternoon. I think it was truly 4 hours total, and then all of a sudden you go from blast off to weigh in now. Bass, I mean, they do a ton of coverage. We're still
yeah,
right at 5 hours of coverage, but it gets to a point, man. Like you said, there's a lot of live fishing to watch. That's a lot of live, and I miss the days of a produced recap. I miss that, man. That's what I grew up on. That's what so many of us grew up on, and I think there's a place for that in today's world. We talked a little bit of the way people consume things now. It's short form, right?
mhm,
I don't have time to watch 5 hours of live fishing. Sometimes when I'm driving, I prop it up and I'm kind of halfway listening if I'm on a long drive. That's the only time I really get to, take it in. It's just tough for me to do. And I also have ADD. It's hard for me to
yeah.
sit still. You should see I'm like a caged rat in the studio most of the time, commentating 5 hours of live fishing. It can be tough some days.
I mean, it's nice to throw on the garage TV or throw it on that's the nice thing about the YouTube, right? Is like you can throw it on a TV, you can throw it on a tab. It's easy to put up and let it go, and you can then use your phone and do other things and work. And
Yes.
so I think that's also the beauty of getting a lot of like just kind of you know not necessarily engaged viewership tuned in. Whereas I feel like when you got to like log into an app, and whether it's MFL Live or whether it was the old fixed TV or like on like
Yeah.
it occupies the screen, and you're I can still put on my you know TV, but then I got to stream it. So then I'm occupying a tablet or a laptop to then cast it to it, and it's just like, oh yeah, yeah.
Nightmare.
It'd be interesting if somebody tried to pull it off, but I think you'd have to do it in a very timely fashion, right? And
Yeah, have to be quick. Yeah, have to be quick.
I think NPFL, there's enough breathing room between events to do it. Whereas I feel like, the Bassmaster does so many back to backs. I think it would be tough
No
for them
doubt.
because they'd be dropping it right on top of the next event, or or you'd be 2 events behind by the time you roll it out. It would be interesting to see, like you say, if you're like, hey, let's not put our resources into streaming the first day, but if we had that budget because of sponsorship money to do something, would we be better off rolling out a 45-minute polished, edited, well done with a story video edit that comes out between tournaments?
Yeah, well, or even something that goes up the evening of the first event, right? If you could put it together that quick, I mean that's a lot of pressure on our production team. But we're out on the water. We got Tanner and Travis Lyons, Twin Visuals. They shoot some amazing content out
Yeah.
there. They're really the look of the league, right? The from the still pictures to a lot of the video we use on the live covers, the sizzle reels and whatnot. They're out there getting that.
Yeah.
And I think if we had a couple more cameramen like them that you could put together this real high end, 4K shoot would be pretty neat. Just a highlight deal to do at the end of the first day.
I will say that is one thing that MLF does a good job, is knocking out daily
Yes.
recap videos.
Yes, I agree. Normally that's what I watch to know what's going on. Because I pop a 6-minute highlight reel. Let's go. I'm all about that.
So so last year I was very critical of the league, saying they needed to be on YouTube, which they did. Here's the next step, Brad Fuller, if you're listening. You need more consistent content between events and during the off season on the YouTube
I would
channel.
agree with that.
They have not posted the video in 4 months.
And as well as I do, consistency is everything. In YouTube, all social media, you got to be consistent. Those gaps
So I
can
think
crush.
that's the next evolution from my standpoint. It's like, hey, we got to here. Now I think you got to figure out, how do you allocate the resources, create the business plan, find the ROI, the sponsors, to get a consistent, where you've got, whether it's angler profiles or highlight recaps or previews or Ken Duke blabbing stats, whatever. There needs to be some content, during the off season between events, to kind of like to build the bridges. So
yeah, especially this year, it's a big gap, between the final event of the regular season was in September. Last week of September, we don't crank things back up to March, excluding the championship in October that we had at Hartwell. But that's a big gap in coverage. And we, for us, we've got hours and hours and hours and hours of coverage banked. But somebody's got to go through it, and I'm not volunteer as tribute on that.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do
where
that.
that's like top 10 catches from this tournament, or the most hidden. There's got to be stuff to redig and stories to tell from these events, or the fish that cost angler X $5,000, or or biggest day 3 comeback because we fish. I don't know. There's got to be stories, right, to go back and find. So
for sure.
Let's see here. This is an interesting observation that I also found was a little bit scary when I made the thumbnail for this, is that as my beard gets grayer and I put our dumb faces up to each other, I was like, there is more similarities than I realized.
Definitely. Other than the accent, and you do need a little more gray. You'll get more experience. Don't worry. Life comes at you fast at some point. I saw
different
a
hat choices in life.
We do indeed. You like to let it breathe, buddy. You're visor gang all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Always have been. Stay true to it. I've just never been a visor. I can't pull the visor off. I can't do it.
It's a lifestyle. Chooses you.
Indeed.
I mean,
that's it.
Here's Matt Kelly says, I guess what you guys fish your championship late in the year, right? Or I forget what. I don't remember.
So yes and no. We've only had 2. So the first was at Amistad in March, and then this year was in October. And they've not announced next year's. And I will be completely honest with everybody. I don't know where we're going.
So it could be.
It could. So I will say this, Matt. At our championship this year, we were talking about things, and they are very open to the idea of a Northern Championship. I will say that. Will it happen this year? Will it happen next year? I don't know, but they are definitely open to that, and I think at some point you will see that.
Lake Vermilion.
That would be awesome. I am for a Northern Championship, man. Do it in June. Yeah, let's have a Northern Championship in June.
Wear some hoodies.
Yes. Yes. Or the fall. I love like what we saw at Champlain in the EQ. I want to go up. No, all the talk is, summer smallmouth and all. No, let's go. And I know the weather gets dicey. You get some big winds and all that. But like, let's go September, October time frame.
Yeah,
man.
Bass Nation late October on lacrosse. That was a good event.
Amazing event, dude. Amazing event.
There you go. This one's feel like this is more Taylor Bergen. He's from Iowa. He wants your top 5 music artists for a 14-hour drive tomorrow.
Holy cow! That is, I do not envy you on that. I'm not over 12 hours. I'm getting on a plane most of the time, unless I'm pulling the boat. Then I have no choice. But man, right now I'm really into a band called Old 60. Old 60. They're kind of I call them emo country because it's really rock, more rock country. It's hard to describe, but my oldest son got me into them. Great band. A gentleman by the name of Stephen Wilson Jr. Been listening to a lot lately. I actually saw him last night at the Ryman in Nashville. Went to a show of his. I'm always going to be listening to Turnpike Troubadours. Love me some Turnpike Troubadours, Sturgill Simpson, and Tyler Childers at the moment. That would be 5 that I'm
Taylor,
listening.
if you don't like country, I'm sorry. That was not helpful for you.
Well, Sturgill kind of goes. He goes a little
I'm
into the rock
assuming he
side.
knew what he was asking.
Probably,
So I mean, I
yeah.
don't think he was looking for like death metal recommendations or anything like that. So
I will give you. I can give you some rock picks too. But listen, my music is very much like everything else in my life, very ADD. But I'm my core is going to be around some form of country most of the time.
absolutely. So we kind of talked about the league next year. What's anything new? You got any more irons you're throwing in the fire for 2026? Like, are you running for like office anywhere or?
Man, no, I avoid politics at all costs. That's for dang sure. Yeah, a lot of irons in the fire, buddy. So this past year, I've been gone. I worked at TH Marine for almost 20 years. I've been gone from there almost 2 years, and I actually have started 2 businesses outside of the fishing world since leaving there. One's my own boat park company, and then I have a rep group that I started with a dear friend of mine, and we're lucky we've got 4 guys on the team with that now. So we represent like Bob's Machine Shop jack plates and several other companies to boat builders, primarily in the Southeast. So we've got that going. We're continuing to add to that. But yeah, I think my buddy, the Y'all Sweet Tea King himself, Darian Craig, and I are bringing back our Show Up, Shut Up series we used to do on YouTube, and kind of taking it up a notch. We're gonna kick that off here pretty soon. So looking forward to doing that. So that's one thing. I'm looking very hard at the Boats and Pros series I used to do. I want to bring that back. Got to make that happen again. It's finding the time to do these things, but those are 2 things in 2026 that I am definitely trying to add to the very stacked plate at this point.
Cool. Then obviously the Classic's coming back to Knoxville.
Yeah, baby.
So any early scoop tea on any parties in Knoxville?
Yeah, there'll definitely be a big one. There'll be a low budget live party for sure. We will be doing the thing again this year. Same the owner of the venue that we played last time we were there, the Heel. He reached out to me that it was very cool. He reached out the day that it was announced, and he said, "Hey, he has actually bought another venue. It's on the same street. That's a more of a private venue. It's got a great stage, sound system, great bar, the whole 9, and we're going to be there. He calls it Ayers Hall, so we'll be at Ayers Hall that night, and the Fat Rascals will be in full effect with my buddy from Turnpike Troubadours playing guitar. We'll have some other special guests working on a lot for that night. I hope it's our biggest one yet, man. Knoxville treated us really good the last time we were there, and that's kind of home turf. It's 3.5 hours up the road for me, so a lot of friends and family. It was a good night. So looking forward to it. I know fans don't. Sometimes fans that aren't Tennessee River crazy. They don't like the Knoxville tournaments because that place is stingy. I will say,
Yeah,
it's a stingy place, but it makes for an interesting classic, I think.
no, for sure. I mean, everything about Knoxville for the Classic is awesome, except for maybe the weights, right?
Yeah,
like
fishing. Yeah.
If you're hoping for big weights and 20, 30, 25, that's Knoxville's not it. But you're typically going to have a tight Classic, and there's going to be intrigue and stories and movement up and down. But yeah, just the way the setup, I say like I've been to the last 3 or 4, and Knoxville was my first one, and it was the best setup from an expo standpoint to being able to do it all in. Knoxville has scooters. It's a pretty decent town to walk around in. You're right on the
Oh, yeah.
campus. You get, I mean, there's just a lot of cool stuff. So I'm planning on making it part of my schedule. I haven't like figured it all out, but yeah, I look forward to going back there again. The Hill was a fun venue, but it got very full very fast, and I don't know what was going on upstairs in that bar, but it wasn't what was going on downstairs.
It was
And
not, no. You had worlds colliding that night, Rich. You had
yeah,
a lot of frat bros and sorority girls, and you had lowlifers, and it was a wild, eclectic mix of people, to put it lightly.
and BTLers. I mean, like there was.
Oh yeah, there were. Well, that's one thing I'll say that's very cool about what we get to do. Is we do tend to support each other, right? And one of the coolest things for me is Panger and I guess you can consider it competitors. I know Mark Jeffries used to. he and I have had some interesting conversations over the years, but Matt's always one of the first people to show up every single year when I do the live at the Classic, and he stays for the entire thing. And I've always respected that about Matt, and guys like yourself. We've always been very supportive. I see you in the chat, always see you in the comments over the years, man. And it means a lot, but our industry is so small that there's no sense in than it being the opposite of that, right? Where people are at each other's throats. That's for sure. So, and the Classic, it's just a good time, man. It's where you actually get to see everybody outside of online. From fans to guys like yourselves, like, oh, there's Rich. I feel like I run into you every year at the expo, and since you started coming.
Absolutely. It's yeah, I don't know. It's underrated. Like, I don't know. I mean, if you're looking, I mean, yeah, you see so many people and meet people, see old friends. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a good time. Like, and then you can buy swim baits and spend tackle and do all that kind of stuff too. So
yeah, I hurt myself this year. I'm not. I'm going to leave my wallet in the truck. I'm staying away from Tato and KGB, Phony Frog, all of those guys. They're not
those
getting
tackle craft painted tattos are hard to resist.
beautiful.
Oh, so you're still doing the ABT next year as well? That's still on the.
Yeah, still doing ABT, which is such a fun gig for me because just grew up fishing against so many of the folks that fish those, and then you get to see these up and comers as well. We've got Lucas Lindsay was right there in the points race all year in the opens, kind of slipped a little bit in the EQs. He's an ABT guy. Fisher and I, of course, won the EQ AOI at 19 years old. He and his dad have fished the ABT the last couple of years, been very competitive. They won an ABT last 2 years ago. And then with the ABT 100s, pros are allowed to fish. Can't have two pros in the boat, but a pro can fish with his buddy. And so those are just those are a lot of fun, man. There's only 3 of those, but a lot of dear friends fish those, and they're super competitive and just a good time. And we talked about a lot of live coverage. We do live coverage in those. I actually get to take the Express out though and be on the water in those events. So that's a little different than sitting behind the mic in the studio, because you're actually watching it go down for 5 hours out there running around. You got an iPad. We got locations of like 50 teams. So you run around chasing folks and chasing a story. It's a good time. It's way different than what I get to do for NPFL. But yeah, I'll be back doing that. I pull double duty at those that get to MC the weigh-ins, and that's something I'd never really done until a couple of years ago when Miss K reached out to me. And man, I enjoy that so much more than I ever realized I would. It's just you get to be there for those moments when somebody's life changes. Like this year at our championship, they give away $50,000, and you see what that number does to somebody when the weight pops up there and you get to feel that emotion. Man, it's such a cool job.
Yeah. You got to work on your catchphrases, so you can be more like your buddy Dave. And,
Listen, Dave's the catchphrase king, dude. Dave is unrivaled in catchphrases.
Dave has his own style.
He does.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how tough of a job it is, especially when you got an influx of new anglers all the time. But to entertain like Dave does, and he is he's one of a kind, man. And the stats, the things that he does rattle off, like that is that's never going to be me. It's impressive.
That's cool. Yeah. And then I guess the boys still all in it, so you can be doing some boat captaining for high school tournaments as well.
Yeah, gonna try. The high school deal's tricky because I wanted to go to some of the Bassmaster of the night, the big events. They have 4, you know, and they're only 1-day events, which is kind of a bummer. And I think there's only 1 out of the 4 that we can make schedule wise with their schedule, my schedule in those, but we're going to fish some Tennessee stuff for sure next year. And it's my oldest, he's a senior, Hudson, and then he's going to graduate, move on. But Ryder, I think he's really seems to be more into it, you know, looking forward to the next 3 years and ditching his brother and getting a better partner is what he told me actually this past weekend. So we'll see how that goes.
And then maybe his brother will be old enough to be a boat captain, and then he'll get to fish more tournaments because he won't just be reliant on you.
Yes, that would be good. That would be very good.
We got a couple of questions for Luke here. We flirted with 100,000, and then people got bored with us.
They got over us.
Yeah. All right. Punch Fish wants to know, what's your go-to order at a Nashville bar?
Oh man. Well, first of all, it's to avoid Nashville bars these days. I have done.
You have to have a libation between sets.
Yeah, man. I am. So I don't drink a ton anymore, but back in the day, it would have just been a Jack on the Rocks most of the time. But and then Tito's soda water with a lime as I've gotten older is kind of my go-to drink there.
It's basically hydrating. I mean, it's water and
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what I tell myself. It was not when it was all brown liquor. When I played a lot of music,
vodka, soda, lime. I feel like that's a responsible, balanced cocktail. Yeah. Brian wants to know, what's your favorite way to fun fish and a go-to lure for that?
Man, if I am just going out, I've got a lake that's pretty close to me that they do like a big swim bait on, and that is in the last 5 or 6 years. If I'm just going to go out and turn the phone off and just have a good time, I'm going to throw some type of glide, and it's hard for me to pick one. I love the KGB stuff. I love the Tato stuff. Man, this year I've gotten on Cody Cannon Toad Thumper lures. It's $35 swim bait, the Sway Glide. I have caught 2 fish over 7 on that thing this year. It's a great glide, but I just say that category. It's hard for me to pick just one, but I love to go throw a big swim bait. That is definitely something. I won't say I'm great at it. I don't have the arsenal that a lot of people do on that, but I I add to my collection a little bit every year, and starting to get a little bit more dialed on the rods and reels and things. So that's what I would say these days.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun thing to do. Yeah, I actually remember looking at that swim bait at in Texas, and I didn't quite pull the trigger because I think I had spent so much money already, and everything else I didn't. Even though it was only like another $40, I was like, man, I was actually gonna end up. That's right. I was also flying to Orlando to meet my family to go to Universal. So like my luggage was already I was like, I don't know if I can fit another swim bait in my carry-on and then go to Orlando because I had like packed for a work trip. I don't remember how it all went. Yeah, because then I was actually staying for a conference after my family left. So it was like classic family vacation, work conference, all in one bag. And I was like, I don't know if I can fit any more stuff in there.
No, I get it. So, I get it. Yeah, it's they sold a bunch of them there, but to be just a not a handmade deal. So many of the big swim baits are fine tuned and all that to be a mass produced glide. And look, I'm not going to go spend $200 on a bunch of glides. There aren't a lot of us that can do that, right? So I appreciate that somebody has an affordable. It's like the Spro KGB collab. That's a great glide. If you're looking for one for $54, that one gets a bite. That Chad Chat is on
The
point.
Buka. The Buka's a pretty good one.
Absolutely. Got a bunch of
I do appreciate the companies that do it. I think Spro and Buka kind of both started the trends where they're like, instead of the just go out and rip off somebody, like actually collabing with them and bringing a legit, and it works for everybody, right? The big company sells more baits, the little guy reaches more audience and hopefully makes some money on it, so I'm a big fan of that strategy and overall, and I think more of that would be good for the everybody.
We just saw that with Tater Hog. Shout out to Matt
Yep.
McBee's an NPFL angler, but Tater Hog Strike King collabs, very cool. Tater makes some great baits.
We're going to step in the right direction for Strike King, because traditionally they were using the other model that I was speaking of.
Yeah, a little bit. The final copy.
I have not tried the Berkeley Chop Block. Came out so late in the year.
Just purchased my first 2, and they are still in the pack. But I do have 2 of the chop blocks. They showed up at a local tackle store of mine last week, as a matter of fact. But I've not got to throw one. I've not even chunked it in the pool yet to see what it looks like.
People say that the bait works well, but some people are having issues with hookups, and I'm not sure why that would be. But it'd be interesting to. The missile roboworm is a good one. The spunk shads for sure. It's another good example of doing it the right way. The problem is up here we get a couple weeks of the big baits, and then the ice hits, and then today was the last day above freezing in the 10-day forecast. We're going to be making ice tomorrow, unfortunately.
So you're headed the wrong direction, buddy. You're headed the wrong direction.
Well, my last fish on Sunday was a 4.5 pound smallie. So if you're going to go out, that's the way to go out.
Well, is it normally early? It's November 25th. So is it normally earlier than this that you start getting ice? Is this abnormal to still be getting the fish?
It's not unheard of, but yeah. I mean, there was a year that a couple years ago when unfortunately my boat was out of commission, waiting on parts. But we had a year that people were out fishing in like we froze and then we opened back up, and people were like getting out on Minnetonka around Christmas. But I don't know if we're going to get that rebound. That was really, like, that was the winter that didn't exist, that pretty much almost killed the ice industry. Like 2 years ago, like, because we basically didn't have ice until like January, and then everything like unthawed like end of February. Which to me, ice is for lime, soda,
yes,
vodka cocktails, not for fishing. I mean, I've done it. I just don't really have the drive for it. So yeah, shorter winters in Minnesota, I'm all for it.
Yeah, but, it's a lot of work, that ice fishing. Sure looks like it to me. From a redneck in the South, I'm like, I would like to experience it one time, I think, but it seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, it's an experience. You should do it if you get a chance.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah. Call up Kyle, be like, take me out on some juice hole. Like, you don't want to. Here's the thing: is you don't really want to go ice fishing, Luke. You want to go ice harvesting. That's what you want to do.
Ice catching, yes.
Ice catching.
Yes, indeed.
But you should do it like both ways. You should be able to get out and like do the hole hopping with like a bucket and like a K-drill and experience like that kind of thing where you're like just running from hole to hole with like a Vexlar or a scope, and then you should also spend like an afternoon or evening where you're just like big screen, college footballs, bowl games are on the TV. There's a grill. You're in a recliner. It's heated. You got you should experience both for sure.
Listen, I am a professional at sitting on the couch and watching college football. So if you're telling me I might get a bite while I'm doing that, you might have me on
set up a rattle reel at the same time, and we can catch a walleye, and then just slit it open right there and fry it up.
You have my attention, sir.
You're too healthy for that now these days. You don't need any of that fried fish in your life.
Oh, I'm trying. I'm trying these days, but we're coming up on the week. We're coming up on the week of where all that goes to out the window. Coming up on the next couple days of gluttony.
I do I think Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday
For sure.
because what I like it's about family and friends and food without all the strings attached. There's not the stress
Yes.
of the presents and the obligations and oh, they bought me this and I didn't get this, or oh, they sent cards and it's like it's just it's to me it's the most pure and it's my favorite holiday. Just it's really about getting together and
Totally agree,
fellowship and
man.
friends and yeah, and
It, it's
football.
it's been my favorite since I was a kid, and my kids seem to enjoy it as well. And you know, we deer hunt a ton down here. This week is normally prime time, right? And it kind of coincides with our firearm season opening. And so, you know, when I was growing up, you're always out of school the week of Thanksgiving. So my dad would take vacation, and like, you know, Thanksgiving is, you know, the dinner was planned around what time we'd be back from the woods and things like that. My mom knew, you know, hey, we're going to do it at this time. But my
Mhm.
uncles and cousins, like everybody hunted. That was always it was always really special for that. And it's the same for me and my boys now. You know, we're in the woods. They're out of school this week. I always, you know, try to have as little work obligation as I can the week of Thanksgiving. And you know, we'll start really tomorrow. We finally got some cooler weather coming in, so we'll start tomorrow hunting a good bit this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you got Black Friday, cyber deals
Yeah.
at your favorite retailers to add to the mix on, you know, there's something about a good what I'm gonna give you my go-to leftover like concoction and then I want to hear yours. I mean,
Okay.
this is what people really came here for. So I like to take I know people hate turkey, but I feel like I make a good smoked turkey. And if it's, yeah, sometimes Mima's old dry roasted desert turkey can be rough, but a well-made turkey I think can be very good. So I like sliced smoked turkey sliced up and then like a good like sourdough bread toasted. And then my spread is goat cheese,
Dude, we just became best friends.
a little bit of
I'm
cranberry sauce, and some arugula. That's my leftover sandwich.
okay. You lost me at cranberry, but I've never tried goat cheese with my turkey. But my I am just plain Jane white bread. I'm a Duke's mayo guy.
Okay.
Duke's mayo and cold turkey sandwich. That's my favorite leftover. But I am going to try goat cheese because I keep goat cheese on hand all the time. Every morning when I'm home, I'm not on the road. I am a 2 eggs with goat cheese every single morning. I love. If you've ever tried goat cheese on your eggs, trust me, go there.
Yeah.
You will enjoy it. You will enjoy it. So yeah,
Are you
I'm gonna have.
scrambling it with the goat cheese?
No, I actually do just like I mean, fried egg, but just more like an
Yeah.
omelet more than anything. Kind of style, not really your typical Southern fried egg, but yeah, just a little goat cheese in the middle. Flip that bad boy over one time. Yeah, every morning
Yeah.
now I'm starving.
But just try toasting that white bread so you got a little like goat cheese
I've
and
not
gonna
done the
spread on
toast. Yeah,
toast it a little bit and then it spreads kind of like a cream cheese.
yeah, that sounds like a move. Yeah, you have.
And then
You,
you could put I mean you can put some dressing on. I mean there's a lot of things you can, stuff in
yeah,
there, but there you go.
that's a move.
All right. So I think we're kind of caught up. I think we covered most of the ground. So anybody that if there's a question you've been dying to ask, the Luke Duncan, let's fire it up here in the next few minutes. Um we'll say I'm gonna do a whatnot stream on Friday. There's gonna be some deals coming out of Omnia Fishing, so I'll cover some of that stuff a little later. Watch the socials for that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Like,
But
if
those
anything you've been
Omnia
dying to ask me,
boys.
Luke,
What's that?
anything you've been dying to ask me?
What's your plans for 2026? What are you doing?
Yeah, I actually did like a whole like planning stream. I didn't have a guest, and I like just like built my Google sheet on the fly and
Okay.
like crossed schedules. But where we netted out, I put my deposits in for the Classic Bass Champions Tour,
Great trail.
and so yeah, I'm excited about that. Um, and then I'll fish some Bass Nation stuff. So I like to keep. I still have a life goal to make a classic. Like my dreams of like fishing an elite tour are really not there anymore. I did the opens one year and that kind of scratched my itch. But I still think like making a classic is a realistic goal and something I want to do. So I like to fish the Bass Nation stuff.
Mhm.
There's a conflict with the lacrosse qualifier in Classic Bass, so that's a bummer. So maybe Classic Bass won't get their permit, and I'll be able to fish both, but we'll see. So the Nation on top of that, and I'll make some TBF stuff. I'd like to make an All-American as well. And then I think I'm going to start sprinkling in some BFLs again because I got a Phoenix now, and that kind of makes sense. So regionals on Grand. So yeah, I'm going to basically Champs Tour and then sprinkle in some Nation, TBF, BFLs is kind of my plan.
Okay. Yeah, man, that I've never fished Nation events ever, and been around that with the high school stuff this fall. They're just some good folks involved with that for sure, and obviously some hammers. To get to that championship is not easy, and you've done it how many times now?
5, I think.
That's awesome. That's so wild to me. That is
3 of the old
not
way, right? Where it was real. I mean, it was
right.
definitely a different experience when it was 50 some anglers. But I will say that GL, I mean, John Stewart, he was awesome, did a great job. GL taking over, he's kind of making it his own with what he was given. I think he's doing a really good job. They're like basically run at the same. I mean, I fished the Bassmaster Open Division 3 that one year, and like, I mean, the entry fee is cheaper. You got co-anglers, but other than that, I mean, I guess they had co-anglers with that, but I mean, like, the events are very much like close your eyes and don't pay attention to the entry fee. You very much feel like you're fishing a Bassmaster Open from as far as like
Yeah.
the communication, the level of like how it's run, the mechanics, all that stuff. They do a great job for the big tournaments, and they're making some tweaks going forward to get kind of still fine. Like I said, they're still evolving, trying to make the Nation so it works for everybody, right? Obviously they got to make money and make the anglers and that experience. So yeah, I'm a little kind of interested to maybe fish some BFLs and see how this little 3-hour scope things can work out. That's
Me too.
selfishly part of the reason I want to be there firsthand to see what this. I mean, for $200, I feel like I want to fish the first one in the Great Lakes and see what this is like.
I'm very interested to see how this goes this year. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Yeah, it's I don't hate the rule. I just think it's gonna be an interesting one to police, I think.
Yeah. We did get a few more questions for Luke here. Actually, one of them's older. I just forgot. So Luke, Jig Squad, shout out to Kuda, says, what does your preparation look like for getting ready for being an informed announcer on the NPFL feeds?
So when we were offsite, so we were in studio up there in Wisconsin for 4 seasons pretty much, and that included a lot of phone calls, obviously, because you're reaching out to anglers, a lot of texts, a lot of phone calls, picking the anglers' brains and trying to get as much current information that they'll give you, because people like Patrick Walters are not going to tell you anything. You have to try to form a story based off what you see on live as it's actually happening. For the most part, some guys are more forthcoming with the info than others, and I try to do, coming out of practice, I have a group of guys that I talk to that I'm close to that fish NPFL pretty much, and I'll reach out to like leading into the event just to get some ideas, and if I have local buddies that are locals on a lake, I'll try to pick their brains, hey, what's been going on, just to get an overall idea. But once the event gets going, now that we're on site, it's being at that weigh-in, the face-to-face, what's going on. I'm standing by the boats. Fat Cat and I both go over. We do the drive-through weigh-in, so you're over there hoping to catch a peek of something, even if it's a bait they're trying to hide. You're trying to get an idea to build that story. But I am a note taker. Jig Squad. I'm a notebook guy, so I'm constantly writing type stuff in my phone as well. But I'm always going to have notes, and then I will give a huge shout out to Ken Duke, man, since he's been involved in the league. As you well know, if you keep up with Ken at all, he's a stats guru. He has started providing us a lot of, we've got the current stuff, right? Like what's going on in the event. And I try to familiarize myself with the anglers' careers as best as possible. But like Ken's got basically a Bible of that stuff that he'll bring that in. Hey, we got these 5 guys on camera, and he'll give Fat Cat and I a stat sheet as well. That started this year, and that's awesome. Just adds, little tidbits to throw in there, interesting facts that he'll find as well. So a lot of just a lot of notes though, and being as prepared as I can.
No. So speaking of that, Frank, a Canadian friend, is there any nerves before a broadcast?
Yeah, man. I don't get nervous a ton speaking in front of people. I've been kind of fortunate to my dad was the same way. I've kind of got that in my DNA, but there's something about when they go, all right, 1 minute to live, countdown starts. Fat Cat and I, we're not on camera, right? A ton, 3-4 times a day, but the intro and the outro is all you. It's on you. You're trying to set up the story, and it's pretty intense. I mean, I will say both of us, we Fat Cat and I, we always do a fist bump right before we go live, and here we go. You got to take a deep breath, but there's definitely some nerves, and it's the same way with, I'd say even with ABT weigh-in, there's a little bit of, it's on you, it's on your shoulders. They're fixing to turn the thing over to you, and it's the same way when I play music. There's just that little bit of butterflies that you're going to get in your stomach, and I that's a good thing, to be a little anxious before you start, keep you on your toes a little bit. But yeah, there's some nerves for sure. But once the first, I'd say 10 minutes are over of the show, then you're cooking. And then it's just talking about bass fishing.
Yeah.
And watching guys that are really good at it.
Right before blast off, and it's the same kind of little
For sure.
anticipation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Definitely that same emotion. You get fired up, man. When they start calling boat numbers, like, all right, it's time. There's a little, there's a mix of emotions there. But yeah, there's definitely some nerves.
Frank K. Bates is a big
My
fan.
man. Thank you, sir.
Well, I'm assuming that's one of your kids' burners accounts or something, but anyways.
Probably. No, they would never tell me that. They would never tell me that from a burner account. Trust me. They would be trashing me in the comments.
Critical Gravy says, do you miss biscuits and gravy? Or are you still partaking? Or
I'm not partaking right now. I do love biscuits and gravy. I will say though, even being a Southerner, I do not eat biscuits. Even when I'm out of control with my diet, I don't eat biscuits and gravy a ton, but it is a very guilty pleasure of mine. I do like biscuits and gravy, and I do miss not having those. I know Crank Cave Baits. See that name popping around over the years.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Let me check the last few comments here, but yeah. So any you said, I think you're doing some hunting. Any big animals on the trail cams you're excited about?
Well, there was a really nice one, and my oldest son, was able to take that one Saturday morning on the first day of rifle. 15 minutes into legal shooting time, so that didn't last long. And we do have a couple more. Yeah, we pretty fortunate this year. Got some nice deer hanging around. So I've not taken a buck since 2023. I'm a guide now, Rich. When it comes to these kids, that's pretty much where all my time, energy, and effort goes to. I feel like is they shoot way more deer than I do these days, and bigger deer than I ever was around when I was their age. My dad was selfish when it came to deer. He's like, here, you go over here. You're probably not going to see anything, but go sit in the stand.
This is part of the process of you learning and earning and growing. Well, you watch me. You go over there, put in your time. I'm going to shoot this big buck, and you'll be better for it and learning. And
it'd be like, hey, come over here and help me drag this thing to the truck. I got those.
You needed a couple years on the JV stands before you get to sit in a varsity stand. Like
exactly. My youngest, he's 14, and he shot his first buck, I guess 3 years ago, and it was bigger than any buck that I probably saw for the first 15 years I deer hunted. And I'm like, this is, but I will say deer hunting, nationwide is a lot better. People are more selective on bucks. There's a lot more big bucks around. And man, my kids, we shot a ton of deer when I was younger, and buck we shouldn't have shot and things like that. And you learn more about deer management as you get older. And there's a huge emphasis on that on social media and the YouTube stuff my kids watching. Man, it's sometimes a really nice buck will walk out and I'll be sitting with my son, my youngest in particular. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna shoot that deer. I'm like, what? It drives me nuts, man. I'm like, dude, that's a really nice mature buck. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna pass that one, Dad. I'm gonna wait on this bigger one, you know. So
You're like, when I was your age, I would have pushed you out of the stand to get a shot of that deer.
Yeah, we actually, I'll leave you with this one. We were on the muzzleloader season here about 2 weeks ago, and this, I mean, really nice deer. It was a 7-point. We had not seen this deer on camera. Walks out in the field, and I'm sitting with my 14-year-old, and I'm looking at this thing through binoculars, and it's a hoss, man. And I'm like, hey, that's a shooter. You need to shoot that deer. And he's like, nah. He won't even pick the gun up to like put it on the gun rest. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I hand him the binoculars. I'm like, look at the deer. And it was actually the 8-point that his brother ended up taking this past weekend. He goes, no, I'm waiting on that deer. And I said, look, man, I'm telling you, that deer is bigger than you think. And we're kind of whisper arguing as this deer's in a field. And I said, hand me the muzzleloader. He goes, his eyes get big. He goes, what? I said, hand me the muzzleloader. And he's like, are you going to shoot? I said, yes, I'm going to. Then he realized, oh, okay, Dad knows this is serious. And then he gets the gun up, the deer starts to get out of the field, and he missed it. Which the deer's still around. We're still getting him on camera. But anyways, just because he wouldn't listen to his old man, he did not get to take that deer because he rushed the shot a little bit. But anyways, he was like, yeah, I'm not, no big deal. I'm like, here, hand me the gun. Hand me the gun. You realize it was serious. So anyways, man, looking forward to that. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. And thanks for putting up with Rich and I tonight. Thank you for having me, man. It's been a long time coming.
Good time.
Sooner the second time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your time. Everybody be safe. Be good. You know, put your grudges aside. Enjoy your family. This is not the time to be bringing up old stuff and holding grudges. And appreciate your time with your family and your friends, whoever you spend time with this weekend. And everybody be good. Have good holidays, and we should be back next week. And I'm sure there'll be a low budget live, probably not live, coming out next week as well.
Probably not live.
All right, everybody, good. Yep. Happy Thanksgiving, and as always, here to help you guys catch more big bass and suck less.